In this video, we will talk about the computer awareness concepts as per the NIMCET 2026 revised syllabus, right. So, this is the new syllabus of computer awareness. Earlier, we had only these two units, computer basics and data representation, and I think Venn diagrams and truth tables are removed from here, and additionally three more sub modules are added, which contains computer hardware, computer software and internet and email, right. So, in this video we will talk only about computer hardware. Okay. So, I will be making three separate videos, one for computer hardware, then software and finally for internet and email. I am not making any videos on these two concepts because they are well known and well established. You will find a lot of videos in the internet, right. And the most, that's what I am going to make videos about, these three concepts only, right. So, the most important point which I want to tell here, because I belong to NIT Trichy and there is a misconception, there might be a misconception that if I am making a video and if you are watching this video, you may think that some questions will come from this video. It is nothing like that. I am making this video only for my YouTube. Okay. Since I am a computer science or a computer applications faculty, I am making this video. Okay. It has no connection with NIMCET 2026 exam. I am like some coaching center who are making videos, I am also making one video with my experience, right. Do not expect questions to appear from this video. It is just for your learning purpose. Don't think if you watch only this video and study only these questions, you may get questions in the exam, right. It is purely based on my experience and I am making this video for my YouTube channel. Okay. That this should be very clear. I want to make it clear. So, they do not think that this video contains some, if I watch only this video, you may get you can clear all the questions of computer awareness. No, it is nothing like that. Anyhow, I am not covering the whole syllabus. If you see, I am covering only the new portion, right. So, other things you have to study. Okay. And only with my experience, questions may come or may not come, but just for my YouTube channel purpose, I am making the video for these three, right. So, that is it. Let us go into computer hardware, right. So, computer has four main components: input devices, CPU, memory and output devices. Okay. Input devices are the devices that are used to accept data and instructions from the user. Some examples of input devices include keyboard, mouse, scanner, etc. Whereas central processing unit CPU is known as the brain of the computer, as it controls the complete working of the computer. Memory, right. So, data is stored in our computer memory. The data and the instructions are stored in the of this component of the computer. So, in computer we have a memory component where all the data as well as the instructions are stored. Some of the examples include hard disk, DVD, pen drive are some examples. Output devices, these are devices that are used to display the desired result or information. Examples include monitor, printer, etc. right. So, in the added syllabus, if you see here in the added syllabus, right, computer hardware is being covered. In that we are covering input devices, output devices and storage devices as well as memory. So, these four we are going to cover in the hardware part. Okay. So, let us begin with the input devices. An input device is used to get data or instructions from the user. So, user has to give the data, right. This data is then passed on to CPU for processing so as to produce the desired result. You know that from keyboard I can give some data and the computer accepts that. That data is given to the CPU. CPU understands that and does gives you whatever you are expecting, right. Although keyboard and mouse are two common input devices, keyboard and mouse are very commonly used input devices, right. Other devices like optical character recognition OCR, magnetic ink character recognition MICR, right, mark sense reader etc. are also used as our requirement. Okay. So, we will see in detail about all these things. Let us see about keyboard. Keyboard is very much like a standard typewriter with a few additional keys. So, in olden days we used to have typewriter. Along with that we have some additional keys in the keyboard. Generally we find a QWERTY keyboard, right. QWERTY means the alphabets, no, here Q, W, E, R, T, Y are on the keyboard. So, we call it as a QWERTY keyboard. So, this QWERTY keyboard has 104 standard keys. If you are following US standard, it has 104 keys, or if you are following European standard, it has 105 keys. Okay. Additional keys may be included in some modern multimedia keyboards, but the standard is 104 if it is US standard and 105 in European standard. So there are different types of keyboards. The first one is QWERTY keyboard, right? So this is the most common and classic keyboard structure. So all the keyboards what we are using today are QWERTY keyboards, right? It is named so because of its first 6 keys of the keyboard. See here, QWERTY. That's why it is called as QWERTY keyboard. Okay, its design was inspired by the early typewriters. The keys were designed in such an order so that letters which are frequently used are spaced out to prevent any jamming of keys. Keys which we use frequently are placed in different places. They are not placed at one point, they are spreaded in different directions. Right. So this is the example, this is how the QWERTY keyboard looks like. If you see QWERTY. The next one is Dvorak keyboard, right? Dvorak keyboard, it's an alternative to QWERTY keyboard. In QWERTY keyboards, the typing process was slow because of arrangement of letters, right? If you see here, initially keys are different. If I want to print hello, H is here, right? Then E is here. Then again I have to come for L here, L, O. So they are placed different locations. That's why it was very difficult. On the other hand, these Dvorak keyboards are designed in a way the user can type without much movement of fingers, hence resulting in fast and easy typing. Right? See, if you see, if I want hello, H, E, L, and O. So they have just tried some other mechanism of placing the keys. However, this has failed because it was very much difficult to adapt compared to QWERTY. QWERTY was easy to use, so this could not be used a lot. So it has failed. They could not do work with this. The third type of keyboard is ergonomic keyboards. Ergonomic basically means the well-being or health. It is a health related thing, right? So the term ergonomic means designing in such a manner that it provides users with an efficient working environment, right? So these keyboards are designed in a way that they help in reducing strain and any discomfort faced by the user while typing for a long time. Okay, since we type with both the hands, our fingers might be strained. To avoid that, these ergonomic keyboards have come into picture. This is achieved by design which allows users to rest their hand in a natural position in a comfortable way and arrange keys in the order which causes the least finger movements. See here, so they are in little crossed way, keys are in the crossed way, so you can put your hands comfortably instead of tightly putting them in the straight order. Okay, so these are different types of keyboards: QWERTY, Dvorak and ergonomic keyboards. Okay, now let's talk about types of keys on keyboard. Okay, so the first category of keys are alphanumeric keys, that is text and numbers. So on that keyboard, it contains alphanumeric keys, means alphabets as well as numbers. Okay, so these keys are called alphanumeric keys and are used to enter textual and numeric data. They consist of letters A to Z and numbers 0 to 9. Along with some special characters like exclamatory, @ hash, dollar and star, like this. So these are alphanumeric keys. Then we have navigation and managing input keys. So if you see the keyboard, we have arrow keys moving up, down, left and right on the keyboard. Same way we have two more buttons, page up and page down. These are also two keys on the keyboard using which you can go up and down in the large documents. Then we have home and end. Wherever you are in the document, if you click home, it goes to the first page. If you click end, it goes to the last page. Okay. Then we have delete key, removes character to the right of the cursor. Backspace key deletes character to the left of the cursor. So if you keep backspace means it will delete the left side characters, whereas delete will delete the right to the cursor. Then we have caps lock, which will change the case upper to lower and lower to upper. Okay, so if you want to type your name as Raj, R-A-J, you have to on the caps lock type R, so it will give caps. Then again off the caps lock you can type small a and j, right. So this is second type of keys what we have on the keyboard. Okay, and then we have num lock and scroll key also in the second category, navigation managing. We have num lock and scroll lock. So num lock means it will activate the numerical numbers. If num lock is enabled, only then you can enter 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so scroll lock is one which is very rarely used today. It was once used to control how text was scrolled. So today we don't find scroll lock option. We have it, we don't use it because you have this scroll lock key. It will be something like this, SCRLK. This will be the key name on the keyboard if you can find, right. So its function has become largely obsolete in modern software. Now we don't want to use that because I am having other keys using which I can play with it. Then we have special function keys. These are located on top of the keyboard, right. So F1 to F12, these are function keys, and every function key has some special property. Okay, for example, F1 is for help or support, F5 is for refreshing a page, F11 can toggle full screen mode. So sometimes you want to occupy full screen, then you have to press F11. If you again press F11, it will come back to normal mode. Like this, all 12 have different functionalities, F1 to F12. Then we have shift key, right. So this is used to access the upper character of a key, like @ hash $. So every key has some of the keys have upper and lower keys. For example, if I talk about numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this I have keys, and on 1 I have exclamatory, on 2 I have @, on 3 I have hash, on 4 I have $, like this we have. To access these upper keys, we have to use shift key. Then we have control key, next one. This modifier key is used in combination with others to create shortcuts. Control C for copy, Control V for paste, Control Z for undo, like this. And also we have Alt key. This is similar to Control key. It is used for additional shortcuts, like Alt Tab. To switch between applications, I can use Alt Tab. Okay, so there are different applications of these keys, right. Some other important keys, we have Enter key. So it's used to submit commands, confirm selections, or start a new line in the text in documents. It's also called as the return key. If you click enter, it is actually submitting some command or confirming some selection, or you can, to go to the new line in the document, I can use enter key. Then we have space bar to give space. This is the largest key what we have in the whole keyboard. Space bar is the largest key. So to have some space between words, we can use this. Then we have escape key, used to exit or cancel the operations. So you have done something, you want to exit off that, you can give escape, right. Tab key is there to give some tab spaces. If you are following indentation, means you want to give some space, 8 spaces, you want to give some space between characters or words, you can use tab key. Space will give only one space, tab will give at least 8 spaces. Okay, then we have Windows or command key. Basically it's for doing system operations, some system functions, you can use the Windows key. Okay, so the next input device is mouse. We said we have 2 input devices, keyboard and mouse are popular. Along with that we have some other input devices. So the next one is mouse. Mouse is a electromechanical device. Remember this, electromechanical device. It's also called as pointing device. Mouse is also called as pointing device. So you might have seen this, you might have while filling application or using computer. I think this is well known for you. It is basically a pointing device that controls the movement of cursor or pointer on the display screen. So on the screen, if you want to move something, you have to use this mouse. It's a small object that you can roll along a hard and flat surface. Okay, so you need definitely a flat surface to use the mouse. As you move the mouse, the pointer on the display screen moves in the same direction. Whichever direction you are moving your mouse, it moves in the same thing. Okay, so mouse may contain 1, 2 or 3 buttons which have different functions depending on the program. So parts of a mouse, I have mouse buttons, right? So scroll wheel, so there is one, so here there is one scroll wheel. If you see, this is scroll wheel used to scroll the page up and down. When we click in the middle of the scroll, it helps to click in hyperlinks. So if there is some hyperlink, some website link is there, okay, on that if you click that middle, this one, this scroll wheel, if you click, it will open that page, that new web page. Motion detection, so there is one track balls, right? So under this, if you see, if you lift this and see, there is one small ball is there under the mouse which is actually tracking it. Okay, so lasers are used to detect the movements. There is one laser, red color laser you can find under the mouse. Then outer cover or shell, so here we have the outer cover or the shell, right, which covers the inner components. Okay, and there are two mouse buttons. What are those? See, left click and right click. No, we say this is right click and this is left click. Okay, so buttons are present on outer part of the mouse. These buttons help users to click and navigate. Left button is used for clicking and double clicking, whereas right click opens an additional menu. Okay, so this way we have options on the mouse. So mouse, some tricks in mouse: double clicking will highlight a word, triple clicking will highlight the entire paragraph. Okay, so this with experience you can know that once you are using mouse, you can understand those, how to use this mouse, right? Holding down the left mouse button will highlight the column of a text. Okay, so if there is some data here and there are some columns, if I pull something and do my mouse, hold my left mouse button and pull it, it will select the column. Holding left mouse button plus control while dragging will copy the items. So if there is some item, if I hold left mouse button and control, it will copy the same thing, same content will be copied. Left mouse button plus shift will move the items. I can shift it from one place to the other place in the document. Okay, so on a web page with a link, clicking on mouse scroll, this if I click this scroll button, it will open that web page, open the page. Middle clicking anywhere on the web page will open a navigation tool that helps you navigate the page quick according to your preferences. Okay, so these are some operations. Like this, there are so many things which you can do with the mouse. The third input thing is scanner. Okay, so scanner is an input device that can read text or an illustration printed on paper and translates the information into a form that the computer can use. Right? So I think you are aware, you have scanned from mobile and uploaded into the application, or you went to an internet center and you have done the scanning of your documents. Right? So scanner is the third input device. Right? How does scanner works? Scanner works by digitizing an image. So it's actually capturing an image, dividing it into grid of boxes and representing each box with either a 0 or 1. What it is telling is, if you have an image, let's say you have an image with you, okay, of your certificate. In this, it is divided into boxes. It is a grid of boxes like this. Each box contains some values which are either zeros or ones. Okay, the resulting matrix of bits is called bitmap. Let's say in your certificate, this is your photo. Okay, so your face will be somewhere here and then this will be your body. This will be white and this will be white, no background. So your face is here. So this part will be all zeros. Here when there is some contrast, there will be some 0 ones like this. Ones like this. Okay, so the resulting matrix of bits is called bitmap. Can then be stored in a file. Okay, so optical scanners do not distinguish text from illustrations. They represent all images as bitmaps. Therefore, you cannot directly edit text that has been scanned. I think you know, once you scan a document, you cannot edit it. Right? To edit text read by an optical scanner, you need a OCR, optical character recognition system is required. Using this OCR software, a scanned document can be edited or understood, right. So we have different types of scanner. First one is OCR, optical character recognition. It's a device used for reading text from paper and translating that images into form that the computer can understand. So if you have a document which contains some text, right, if you want to feed that as input to a computer, right, you have to use a OCR software which can read the text from the paper, convert it into form which computer can understand. So OCR is used to convert books, magazines and other printed information into digital form. Then we have magnetic ink character recognition, MICR, magnetic ink character recognition. A MICR can identify characters printed with a special magnetic ink. OCR also does the same thing, but MICR is a specialized scanner. Okay, this device particularly finds applications in banking industry. So checks used for transactions have a unique MICR code that can be scanned by MICR device. Then the third one is OMR. I think you are aware of OMRs. I don't know if you have written some exams where you know you're asked to bubble the answers on the OMR sheet. So OMR stands for optical mark recognition, also called as mark sense reader. OMR is also called as mark sense reader. Is a technology where an OMR device senses the presence or absence of a mark. So in some OMR, I think you might have heard there will be 4 options like this for first question. 10 also there will be 4 boxes. If I will circle this like this, so this becomes my option B. For this I am selecting this, it becomes option D like this. So OMR is widely used in assessing objective examinations involving MCQs. So 3 types of scanners: OCR, MICR and OMR. Okay. So some this is about input devices, right. So keyboard and then mouse and then the scanners. Let's see some questions. Okay. So when you are watching this video, when you see this question, you just guess the answer, then only you move forward. You can pause the video, guess the answer for this, then you go to and see the answer. So which technology is used in OCR? Okay. OCR means, just again go back here, see, optical character recognition, right. So which technology does it uses? So optical recognition of characters, magnetic recognition of ink, audio recognition, radio signal. Radio is not, audio is not. So from this it is not magnetic. Why magnetic is this? MICR. MICR uses special magnetic ink. Therefore the answer will be option A, optical recognition of characters. Next, which device converts the physical documents into digital form? So let's say you have a document with you, you want to convert this into digital form. So which one can you use? Plotter, scanner, speaker, joystick. So which one will actually do the convert the document, physical document to digital form? So answer should be scanner, because scanning is the one which converts into digital form. Which scanner is commonly used for scanning books and papers? Okay, so there are different types of scanners: drum, flatbed, handheld, film scanner. So which scanner will actually use for papers and books? See, paper and books are flat thing, so it will use flatbed scanner. Okay. Then which keyboard key combination is used to permanently delete a file in Windows? If I want to delete some file permanently from my Windows machine, which key can we use? Control D, Alt delete, Shift delete, Control Shift. Okay, so maybe you can guess the answer. If you are right, then you can continue the video. So the answer will be for this Shift delete. If I click only delete button, it will be stored in my bin. Okay, so on Windows we have one recycle bin. It will be stored there, which can be restored again. But if you want permanently delete it, you have to use Shift delete key. Okay, Shift plus delete. The resolution of scanner is measured in. How do you measure the? How do you measure the scanner? The resolution of the scanner. It is using Which one? GHz, PPI, DPI, Mbps. So you know Mbps is for speed, internet speed. Gigahertz is for the data thing, right? So DPI and PPI is there. So it should be among them. So it is DPI, dots per inch. It is dots per inch is the full form of DPI. Okay. Which technology recognizes marked areas of paper forms? Right. So marked areas, unmarked, we have discussed that when you are having some options, right, so whichever is marked, that area, how it is identified, it is actually OMR sheet. So it is OMR. Okay, maybe I have the answer here. Which key is known as toggle key? Caps lock. Caps lock is known as the toggle key because that it will change the caps to small and small to caps. That's why caps lock is called as toggle key. Just quick some questions I have discussed from the internet on these input concepts, right. So the next concept is output devices, right. So what are the output devices? Output devices receive information from the CPU and present it to the user in desired form. Input is given to the CPU, and that CPU does the processing. After it does the processing, CPU gives the output, the result to the output devices. Some of the output devices include monitor, printer, plotters, etc. What is a monitor? I think you know the monitor screen, right? Monitor is also called as visual display unit. Monitor is just like a television screen and it is used to display data and information. When some data or instruction is being keyed in, let's say I am giving some input, the monitor displays the characters being typed. So when I am writing here, you are able to see on the screen, no? That's what the output device job is. Monitors are available in various sizes. They may also differ for different types of computers. The standard size of monitor is 24 lines by 80 characters. So 24 lines and each line I can have 80 characters, that is the standard. Okay, the output displayed on the monitor is called soft copy. Whenever I am writing something, this is being displayed to you, that is called as soft copy. So we have two different types of monitors. One is CRT, other is TFT LCD monitors. What is CRT monitor? CRT stands for cathode ray tube. Monitor. Relatively older type of monitor. It is very rarely used today, right? So these were bigger and bulkier monitors and hence took a lot of desk space and they also consume lot of electricity. CRT monitors are the old big monitors. Okay, so it's like a square cube, right? Then we have TFT LCD monitors. TFT stands for thin film transistor and LCD stands for liquid crystal display. I think you are hearing about LCD screens these days, right? These monitors are lighter and occupy less space. They are also commonly referred to as flat screen displays and consume less electricity compared to CRT. And advanced version of LCD is LED, right? Light emitting diode. LED stands for light emitting diode. Monitors are being used. So CRT, then came LCD, and now we have LED display screens, right? So maybe LED means light emitting diode, LCD means liquid crystal display, right? CRT means cathode ray tube. The next one is printer, right? So monitor is over. Now the next output device is printer. Printer is a device, you know this are common things, but just I am going through the theoretical part before we see the questions. Printer is a device that produces output on a paper. Such an output is called as hard copy. Something which was displayed on monitor is the soft copy. Printer converts that soft copy into hard copy. It may be in form of text or graphics. There are many different types of printers. Printers vary in terms of size, speed and quality, right? A printer is a device that accepts text and graphics output from a computer and transfers this to information to papers. Printers can print any information that has been passed to them, whether it can be text, numbers or images. Anything I can print. It depends on the type of printer that determines what quality or color the printed matter will be. So if you are having black and white printer, black and white output will come. Color printer, you can get color output. Types of printers. Okay, the first one is dot matrix printer. Dot matrix printer. So what is this? It's a type of printer that uses a print head to print characters on paper. Okay, this print head moves in back and forth, up and down motion of the page. If you have gone to post office, when you do some speed post, there will be one something which is printing and it makes some noise, right? And that there is one head which is moving forward and backward, and also it is going to next lines. That is the dot matrix printer, right? The print head strikes on an ink soaked cloth ribbon that is laid against a paper. The characters formed from dots are thus printed on the paper. So if you go to post office or some places, it keeps printing line by line. It moves forward, again come back, again moves forward. That is your dot matrix printer. Okay. Next one is thermal printer, right? Thermal printers are printers that produce images by pushing electrically heated pins against a special heat sensitive paper. Okay. So thermal printers are inexpensive and are used in most calculators and many fax machines. But the drawback is, no, it produces a low quality print. Okay, so print turns to curl or fade after a few weeks or months. So I think olden days, if you know, documents were almost thermal printers, where you can see very lightweight paper on holes on both sides. I think you are aware of these kind of papers where there used to be holes like this on both the sides. So those are thermal printers. Then we have inkjet printers, right? Inkjet printers work by spraying ionized ink on a sheet of the paper. Okay, so magnetized plates in the ink's path direct to the ink on the paper in the desired shapes. So inkjet basically it will spray ink onto the paper at that particular point. They are capable of producing a better print than dot matrix. Inkjet are better, and it provides a resolution of 300 dpi, dots per inch. 300 dpi output is produced by inkjet printer, which is high quality. Okay, this is also known as line printers, as the output is printed line by line. Inkjet printer is also known as line printers. Then the final one is laser printer. Okay, so this is the final type of printer. It works on the principle of photocopier, Xerox machine. It utilizes a laser beam to produce an image on a drum. So how it happens actually? See, when you give an image, when you say to print this document, the document is sent to the photocopier and that it is being copied and printed. The light of the laser alters the electrical charge on the drum wherever it hits. The drum is then rolled through a reservoir of toner, which is picked up by charged portions of the drum. So there is some drum inside the printer. That rays of the text will be printed on this, and it rolls. When it rolls, that wherever there is a portion, that is printed on the paper. Finally, the toner is transferred to the paper through a combination of heat and pressure. Since the entire page is transmitted to a drum before the toner is applied, laser printers are sometimes called as page printers. So page wise printing, we use laser printers. Okay, so that's what we can use. The speed of laser printers ranges from 4 to 20 pages per minute. Okay, so this is one of the fastest printers what we have, laser printers. Then the next output is speakers. So I think I did not explain this, you know about speaker well. So you can understand this about speaker. Let's see some questions on these output devices. Which printer produces output by striking ribbon against the paper? Right? Striking ribbon against, I'll just go back to the concept. Striking ribbon. Right? See, it is spraying iodinized ink here. This is actually playing with the electrical charge. Right? So dot matrix and thermal. What is the answer? So which printer will produce output by striking ribbon against the paper? So it is dot matrix. Why? You said no. Dot matrix, what happens? There is one ink soaked cloth ribbon, okay, that is laid against a paper. So when you talk about ribbon, it is dot matrix printer. Next, laser printers use liquid ink, toner powder, carbon powder, heat sensitive paper. What do laser printers use? So the answer is toner powder. Okay, so always when the printer does not print, we give toner to it, we give a new toner, it contains some powder. So laser printers use toner powder. Which output device is best for high quality graphics printing? So dot matrix, inkjet, daisy wheel, line printer. So obviously it is inkjet printer because it gives 300 dpi. Resolution of monitors is measured in. So monitors, in what way do we measure the resolution? So it is pixels. Pixels. I think you know photo image contains lot of pixels, right? Each image contains lot of pixels. So same way for monitors we use pixels. Which monitor technology consumes least power? CRT takes more, we know that. So which one takes less? It is LED. Remember this order: CRT, then comes LCD, then comes LED. So LED consumes least power. CRT stands for, what is full form of CRT? Cathode ray tube, cathode radiation technology, current ray tube, cathode resolution tube. Answer is cathode ray tube. Which printer is an impact printer? Okay, so the answer is dot matrix. It's an impact printer. It is called as an impact printer. Which output device is used to produce architectural drawings? So some house plan I want to print, or some building plan I want to print. Which one do we use? So answer for this is plotter. Plotter is an output device which is used to produce architectural drawings. Then comes the quality of printer is measured in, I think this is very easy, DPI, dots per inch. Thermal printers are commonly used in, where do you use thermal printers, right? So it is actually used in milling machines. In shops, if you see, they have a small box where a small slip comes like this outside, no? This is the thermal printer to print billing, small bills. Let's say you go for some shop where they give you rectangle shape bill. So it is based on thermal printers, right? Which device is both a input and output device? We have studied about input devices. We also seen about output device. Which one is both? Speaker is an output. Scanner is an input. Plotter is an output. Therefore, touch screen is both. Because in your mobile phone, using touch screen, you are giving input also, you are seeing output also. So it is both. Touch screen is the answer. Which printer generally has the fastest printing speed? So among these four, which one is the fastest? So if you see the order also, you will understand. First we are talking about dot matrix, then we are talking about thermal, then inkjet, then we are talking about laser. So therefore laser will be the fastest printer. Refresh rate of a monitor is measured in. How do you measure the refresh rate? Okay, that is hertz. So in a monitor screen, if you want to erase something and display something else, that immediately refreshing, that is measured in terms of hertz. So that is about the output devices. Now the final concept in the computer hardware part, it is memory and storage devices. Okay. So memory and storage devices, right? So there are two kinds of computer memory, primary and secondary. Primary memory is accessible directly by the CPU. Okay, something like RAM and ROM. Secondary memory storage devices are such as floppy disk, magnetic disk, hard disk, CD, pen drive, or everything is the secondary memory storage. Okay, secondary memory devices may be inside or outside the computer. Hard disk can be inside the computer, or pen drive, CD can be outside, or pen drive can be outside the computer. Primary memory is more expensive than the secondary memory. Primary memory, because it is inside the computer, it is more expensive. When a computer is doing any task, the data that has to be processed are stored in primary memory. The data may come from an input device like keyboard or from a secondary storage like hard disk. So, whenever data is coming, it is stored into primary memory and then processed. As program or the set of instructions is kept in primary memory, the computer is able to follow them instantly. So, primary memory is important and it is more expensive than the secondary memory. Let us talk about primary memory. It is the memory that is accessed by the processor directly. That is why it is also known as main memory or internal memory. It helps in executing applications that are temporarily stored in a specific memory location. Primary memory is again of two types, RAM and ROM. Okay. RAM stands for random access memory. RAM is a type of memory in which it is possible to randomly select and use any location of the memory directly to store and retrieve data. When I say random access memory, when some data is coming from a secondary storage to primary storage device, primary storage memory, in the primary storage, if I am using RAM, I can store it anywhere I want inside this memory area. It is also called as read-write memory. RAM is also called as read-write memory. And the most important point is it is volatile in nature. Volatile means RAM loses the data as soon as the computer is switch off. If you are switching off the computer, whatever data was stored in RAM will be erased. Okay. So, RAM is volatile memory, it will be erased. The next type is ROM. This stands for read-only memory. This stands for read-only memory. This is another type of primary memory from which data can be read. We cannot write or modify data once written onto the ROM. Here I can do both read and write in RAM, whereas in ROM I can only read. Also, this type of primary memory is non-volatile. Non-volatile means data will not be lost. A storage of program and data in the ROM is permanent. Once the data goes into ROM, it is permanent, it is not erased. Right. The ROM stores some standard processing programs supplied by manufacturers to operate our computer. Okay. So, basically the BIOS, operating system, let us say in your machine you are installing some operating system, the BIOS data is stored in the ROM. It examines and initializes the startup process of the computer and also checks various peripheral devices attached to PC when the computer is turned on. So, some specialized programs are stored in the ROM. And in ROM we have different types. In ROM, read-only memory, we have different types. First one is programmable read-only memory, PROM. Programmable read-only memory, PROM. You know that it is not possible to modify or erase programs stored in ROM because it is only read-only memory. But it is possible for you to store your program in PROM chip. Something is already there inside ROM, I cannot change it, but I can store something else, I can store the new thing. Once the programs are written, it cannot be changed. Also, the program is not lost even if the power is switched off. The second one is EPROM, erasable programmable read-only memory. So, some advanced next version of it. This type of ROM overcomes the problem of ROM and PROM. EPROM chip can be programmed time and again by erasing the information stored earlier in it. It means you can write. In ROM you cannot write. Using PROM you can add something but cannot change. But with EPROM you can delete something, erase something and write it. Okay. Information stored in EPROM can be erased by exposing it to a ultraviolet light. This memory can be reprogrammed using special programming facility. Okay. Then the final one is EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, EEPROM. This is similar to EPROM. The only difference is that Electrical signals are used to erase the contents of EEPROM. Here I am using ultraviolet light, here I will be using electrical signals. Also, this type of ROM need not be completely erased. Okay, so these are three different types of ROM: PROM, EPROM and EEPROM. Okay, what is the difference here? What is ROM? In ROM, I cannot write or modify data once written into the ROM. This is the point. In PROM, you can add some program, you can store some program in PROM chip. In EPROM, I can erase it and write something else using ultraviolet. In EEPROM, it is slightly same with EPROM. Only thing here I am using ultraviolet light, here I will be using electrical signals. That is the difference. Then the next kind of memory is cache memory. Okay, what is this cache memory? The speed of CPU is extremely high as compared to access time of main memory. So when you are using, see your CPU is here. If you are using main memory or primary memory, transferring data between these two things, this way and that way, will take time. So therefore the performance of CPU decreases due to slow speed of main memory. So when the data transfer is happening between CPU and the main memory, the data transfer, when it is happening, it will be slow. Because of this slow, CPU performance decreases. To increase performance of CPU, a small memory chip is attached with CPU. Here only we are attaching one small chip along with the CPU. Okay, which is between CPU and main memory. So it is somewhere here, not here. It is somewhere here in between CPU and main memory, whose access time is very close to the processing speed of CPU. So this is very close. This memory is called as cache memory. Okay, cache memories are accessed much faster than conventional RAM. It is used to store programs or data currently being executed or data that is being frequently used by CPU. So whatever data I am using now, that can be stored in the cache memory, or something which I am using frequently I can put in the cache memory. Another way of understanding cache, I think your browser has the cache memory. Your Google Chrome has cache memory. That's why when you are opening some website, NIMCET, NIC, automatically is opening that. How? Because you are frequently opening that website, it is automatically loading for you, because it is storing that website link in the cache memory. Fast access of these data and instruction increases the overall execution of speed of the software. If you are using cache memory, the overall process will be very fast. But since cache memory is very, very expensive, we use it for a limited amount. Okay, so that's why cache memory is also known as CPU memory. It belongs to CPU. It's also called as CPU memory. It is either integrated directly with the CPU chip or placed separately on the motherboard. So on the CPU motherboard, I can either place this separately here somewhere, or inside the CPU itself I can have a small memory location. As the microprocessor processes the data, it first looks into the cache memory. Is the data available? If not, it goes for the RAM. It goes for the main memory. Right? If the required data or instructions are found, it does not have to spend more time in reading data from the other storage devices. That's why cache memory is fast and the speed increases. Okay. Then that is about memory. We talked about three types of memory. One is RAM, second is ROM, and third is cache memory. And then we have storage devices. Okay, so I will just go into the devices. I think you are aware of these storage devices. We have hard disk, we have SSD, so solid state drives, right? And then we have finally the flash memory, USB flash drives. These are three types of storage devices. So your machine, your laptop, your computer has hard disk, or the latest computer has SSD. We call it as solid state drives, SSD. So let's understand what are these hard drives and other types of devices. Hard disk drive, HDDs, are traditional and widely used form of data storage. It utilizes magnetic storage technology. HDD offers a reliable means for long-term data retention, balancing the cost with capacity to to meet the storage needs of broad range of users. All our laptop has storage, hard disk storage, 1 TB, 500 GB, 2 TB sometimes, right? The core technology behind HDD involves magnetic storage, where data is stored on the surface of rotating disk called as platters coated with a magnetic material. If you open some hard disk and see, you can see all that design, mechanical design, right? These platters spin at high speeds within the hard drive's enclosure. So, in that box of the hard drive, there is some plate which is actually spinning. Data read and write operations are performed by read-write heads that hover just above the platter surfaces. So, this is the entire internal structure of the hard disk drives. Okay, and it is based on the magnetic field that we understood. Benefits of this: cost effectiveness. It is one of the benefit is it is cheaper in cost. The price of hard disk is lower than SSD, and large storage capacity. HDD are available with large capacities, 128, you can have 100 TB storage, 512 TB storage, you can have as much as storage you want. Limitation: slow speed. Hard disk drive is slow data access time and slow transfer rate. This is due to the mechanical nature of the operation, and hard disk drives are prone to failure. During spinning, some physical damage can happen to that mechanical part and it may not work. So, those are the drawbacks of this. The other one is solid state drives, SSD, which is trending now. Most of the new laptops are having SSDs now. What is this SSD? They represent a modern storage technology that uses flash memory to store the data. Whereas hard disk was using mechanical components, SSD does not use any mechanical component. SSD have transformed data storage with their speed, efficiency and durability, right? So, it is better than hard disk. Okay. This flash memory, typically NAND based, allows for data to be written, erased and rewritten. NAND based. So, the gates, I think you might have studied about gate, AND gate, NAND gate, NOR gate. So, this SSD is based on NAND gate, right? SSDs operate without any moving parts, whereas in a HDD, you see here it is having a lot of spinning. There are spinning platters, there are so many moving parts inside it, whereas SSD does not have any moving parts. Reduces access times and increasing read-write speeds. That is why it is very fast. Okay. The absence of mechanical parts in SSD not only speeds data access, but also reduces the risk of mechanical failures. So, there is no risk of mechanical failure because there is no mechanical part to spin up. Okay. Additionally, this lack of moving parts means SSD are quieter and consume less power. Since there is nothing moving, spinning, it will take less power. That is why SSD are better compared to HDD. So, advantages: faster data access, durability and reliability, energy efficiency and quieter operation. Right? Limitations: the cost is very high for SSD and limited write cycles we can do. Data recovery is also difficult in SSD, whereas for HDD, if some data is lost, your hard disk is corrupted, we can get back the data, whereas SSD we cannot get back the data. That is one drawback in SSD. So, the third type is flash memory or USB flash drives, right. So, flash memory stands out as a versatile and widely used form of solid storage. So, SDD uses this flash memory. So, this is found in USB flash drives and memory cards. If you know the small memory cards, in your phone there is memory card. Nowadays it is all inbuilt, but in olden days, we can remove our memory card, copy the data into that, again put in our phone. We used to use memory card, and cameras have these SD cards. So, they use this flash memory. So, it is a type of non-volatile memory that can be electronically erased and reprogrammed, making it ideal for digital storage needs. So, if you are having some good camera, you have to put some SD cards in that. That SD card is based on this concept of flash memory. Okay. So, this is just USB flash drives are commonly used for backing up data, transferring files between computers, and means of distributing software, media and documents. Okay, so it has lot of benefits of flash memory. I think you can easily relate with. So let's see some questions. Actually, the main part of this video is on the questions. So let's see some questions and answers which you can go through. So that's what I am saying. Whenever you see the question, try to pause the video, guess the answer and then only watch the video. So which storage device has no moving mechanical parts? HDD, SSD, magnetic tape, floppy disk. Which one does not have? So answer is SSD, because HDD has the moving parts. Next, HDD stores data using which technology does HDD, hard disk drive, use? So the answer will be magnetic technology it uses. Which storage device is faster? DVD, HDD, SSD and magnetic tape. It's quite common. The fastest storage is SSD. USB stands for USB device, we say, no, what is it? So universal serial bus, universal system bus, unified serial board, universal storage board. What is the full form of USB? So answer it is universal serial bus. Which of the following is a volatile storage? Means temporary storage. SSD, HDD, RAM and ROM. So obviously answer is RAM, because RAM is the temporary storage, volatile storage. Once the computer is switched off, the memory data is erased. Which storage device is portable and rewritable? Storage device which I can copy, move it here and there, which can be portable. I can move it from one place to the other place. So which one is that which can be portable and rewritable? So answer is USB flash drive. I think you know pen drive, USB devices, we can move it from one place to the other place. Which of the following has highest access speed? So from the CPU, which one has the highest speed? So we know that cache memory is in between CPU and main memory, therefore answer is cache memory. Cache memory is located where? Inside CPU or close to CPU, in hard disk, in optical drive, in keyboard. So it is in between CPU and main memory or within the CPU itself. So answer is A, right? So that's it. So I think in this video we have covered about the input devices. Okay, so that is the first part of the syllabus what we have been talking. We talked about all the input devices. Okay, we talked about keyboard, mouse and scanner. In output devices we talked about monitor, printer and speakers, right? And in memory we talked about hard disk. Storage devices we talked about hard disk and SSD, right? And also in memory we talked about RAM, ROM and cache memory. That completes our this part, that is computer hardware, right? So it's all basic thing. Maybe some sample questions I have given, those things you can read more in that direction. Okay, again I repeat, there is nothing with the NIMCET 2026 exam. Don't think if you watch this video alone you will get some questions from this. Okay, this is purely made for my YouTube channel purpose. Okay, you can watch this if you want to learn. You can watch this. This might give you some idea to you what all contents are there inside the syllabus of computer awareness, right? So you know that you get 20 questions from computer awareness from these 5 modules, right? So in this video we covered only computer hardware. So in the next videos we will talk about computer software and then internet and email, right? So that's it about this video. Thank you.